Hey everyone, it's Paul here with the Motorised car stereo. I'm just making this video to try and show you guys how I built this pop-out head unit. Most of the parts that I've built it from are just junk, so I'll try and explain, and if you've got any questions just ask them, and I hope my videoing's not too bad. Alright, we'll see what happens. The first problem that I had with building this unit is it was too deep for my head unit, so I had to build this piece that I'm taking off now to give me enough room behind so that it would hide away. Right, so this is the front piece here. It's just a piece of timber that I have covered in material with these two doors that have, the top one just hangs by gravity, but the bottom one has a little spring on it that keeps it shut. And the timber has been covered just with a vinyl that I've heated and stretched around and stapled. You can sort of see the staples there. Now I'll make the head unit come out so that you can see that it sits in its own little rack that lets it move out and then it moves back in again, and so the unit is just pushing the doors which makes them open. The two doors here that open are made of plastic, and the plastic's from video recorders, the front doors that you open, and then they've just got stickers on the top, and you can see the original clock that I've put back in there, and the two knobs which are off an original stereo glued on. Right, now on the back here you can see a dome. There's three of these domes on the back of the unit, and there's also three domes that I've pot riveted to the original dash, and they locate the face plate, and it clips on, and that's what holds it into place. Now on the top of this plate you can see these three nails that stick up, and they go into three holes that are just up underneath the dash. And once they're lined up, then you just push in the domes, the three domes. Can be a bit fiddly sometimes, but seems to work alright. And then the head unit just pushes the doors open. Right, so the next part I'm going to show you the tray that actually makes the head unit move. Now this is the first unit that I built. So this thing's 18 years old and it's completely worn out. There's a little wee gearbox on the side there. Yeah, and it's just been going in and out all these years, and it's finally given up and it's just not reliable anymore, and I've actually rebuilt it using a different method. But I'm going to show you how I built this one, because it's just built with junk that I could find, and yeah, so I'll show you. Right, I'll just slide this head unit into the holder that comes with your stereo. Now that's been pot riveted onto the aluminium plate, and then your wires come out the back. Okay, on the sides I've used kitchen drawer runners, so you can buy these from any of your local hardware stores. They've just got two wheels, one on each side, and you can sort of see little wheels there, and they sort of, one sits on top of the other one. So I've used two of those, one on each side, and obviously I've cut them down short to give myself about 50 millimeters of travel, because I worked out that's how far I needed the unit to come out to make the doors open. Now on the side here is this little gearbox that I got out of a remote control car. I'll just use my crescent, electrician's crescent, to undo these two bolts, which has got like a saddle across the gearbox to hold it in place. So this is the little gearbox. I can't remember what kind of car it came out of, but it's just got little plastic gears in it. You can see the motor with a little plug that I put on it. That's just a 3-volt motor, and I've got a little inverter unit that chops it from 12 volts down to 3 volts. In this gap here's this piece of plastic with teeth on it, and it's about 100 mil long. That's what the cog sits against and drives it back and forward. So now if I hold this up the right way, you can see how it's just sliding back and forward. Now I've cut a slot at the bottom in the aluminium bottom, and this piece sticks through. You can see it moving back and forward, and that is where I put all the limit switches. You can see the wheels sliding inside there, one at each end. So that's what takes the weight. And you fix the bottom of this tray to your dash or whatever you've got underneath. That's where you hold it. That's what you use to hold it in place. So you can see these 3 rivets. I've just bent a piece of aluminium up with 2 sides and then pot riveted the 2 draw runners on either side. Now I use pot rivets quite a bit, especially on this unit, because they don't stick out like when you use a nut and a bolt. So yeah, so that's why I use rivets quite a bit. Right, so I'll just pop this head unit back in, and then you can sort of see, I won't push it right in because then I have to better get it out again. One of the other tricky bits is when the stereo goes back, I've got a heater that sits right behind, and the wires have to sit exactly the right place, because obviously there's more wires that come out of the back than those. You've got your power wires and everything. And yeah, you've got to have the wires sitting in the right place, otherwise if they get caught behind, they cause the head unit not to be able to push out and the motor stalls. So it's a bit of mucking around, but it's not too bad. Okay, if we have a look underneath, you can see this bit of metal sticking out through the slot, and that's where I mount the limit switches to tell the unit what I want it to do. So if I hold it down a bit so you can see, I have one limit switch at the back to tell it to stop, and one limit switch at the front to tell it to stop when it's forward. And I have a third limit switch in the middle which controls the turning on of the stereo itself, so that when you first turn your key on, the stereo starts to come out, but you don't want the head unit to actually light up until it's at least halfway out, otherwise you can't see it starting up. Okay, that'll do for part 1. If you got any questions, just let me know, and I hope it wasn't too boring. Alright, sweet.